Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome back to the Dartmouth Curling Club. It's draw number 3 here, the 2018 Nova Scotia Scotties Tournament of Hearts on Bell 5 TV1. We have a couple of 1-1 teams going at it. Team Marianne Arsenault of the Mayflower Curling Club taking on Teresa Breen of the Mayflower Curling Club taking on Marianne Arsenault of the Dartmouth Curling Club. And waiting to see who has the hammer. Of course, these teams that I mentioned 1-1. My name is Dan Hobbs. I'm joined alongside here by Karen Skiffington. Delight to have you once again. Basically, for teams here in this sort of round robin format, only 7 games, not like a lot of big draws. So technically, you know, this can be, you can say, a big game for both of these teams because they do not want to really get that second loss because the way I look at it, 4-3 is really not going to get you into the playoff round. And if you get that second loss, then you're teetering on maybe seeing your championships come to an end. And we'll see that Breen is the hammer here in end number 1.
Good afternoon, Dan.
Hey.
Great to be back here watching the women's draw. They have 2 games today, so busy day for them. As you said, it is a round robin, so they will be playing 7 games overall. So a little bit of a marathon, a little bit longer than a typical event they would play throughout the year. Most events throughout the year are a 3-day event versus a 6 or 7-day event that we see here today. So endurance will be a factor, and as you said, trying to avoid that second loss is going to be key going forward, as well to maintain their momentum as well. So.
Both these teams here today started the draw with a loss. Marianne Arsenault lost 5-4 to Krista McDermott to go 0-1, and then she had a big win last night over Julie McAvoy to even things at 1-1. And same for Teresa Breen, a loss 10-5 to Pinckney in the first one, but a win over Isabel Ladouceur. So that's where the teams stand. Of course, we'll get a chance to meet some of the players here as this throw is on its way here by Amanda Simpson. She's the lead here for Breen. Second is Jocelyn Adams. Third, Marley Powers. We'll talk about that little change in their lineup compared to last year. And they are skipped by Teresa Breen of the Mayflower Curling Club, and their coach is Jeff Wilson. As we take a look at Marianne Arsenault. Let's meet her team. Of course, the lead is Jennifer Crouse. The second, Jennifer Baxter. Christina Black is the third. And there is Jennifer Crouse, as we mentioned, and skipped by Marianne Arsenault. And their fifth is Carol McLean, coached by Peter Corcoran out of the Dartmouth Curling Club. And they're right on the nose with this one and bump that yellow towards the back and stay there.
A lot of experience out on that sheet today through Teresa Breen, previously from Ontario. So she's brought a lot of experience to this team. And of course, we see Marianne Arsenault used to be part of the Colleen Jones team a few years ago. The years are ticking away quite quickly on us, but definitely a lot of experience between these two teams. So I would expect a very good game, hopefully a nice tight game score-wise. I think we'll see a lot of finesse shots.
And they're pretty well tight in terms of like the rankings in Nova Scotia, so it should be, on paper, it should be a close matchup, and we'll see if that happens here this afternoon. They'll come around that blue one and sit there in the back 4 on the throw by Simpson.
Just made it by that front guard, so we're starting to see a little bit more motion out of the stones in the ice. It wasn't curling that much. As you see, we're taking the edge of the 4-foot here to draw down to it, so we're getting about 3 feet of curl. The ice has been pretty quick. We're looking at about 15 to 15 and a half seconds for the draw, and that would be the hog-to-hog time. So.
Updating, of course, the standings after day 1, and pretty well everything has gone as planned or on paper as we predicted. Brothers and McDermott, of course, had the buys there, did not have to go through the qualifier back in December in Windsor, both 2-0. And Pinckney, Arsenault, Breen, 1-1. Nancy Delahunt's team, also known as Colleen Jones' team, 1-1. And Ladouceur and McAvoy come in at 0-2. And of course, there's, as you can probably see, there's other action taking place. We have McAvoy and Pinckney on sheet B, and Jones and Brothers on D, and McDermott and Ladouceur on E, and we will keep you up to date on those games here this afternoon.
So Team Breen here just trying to open up the front. They do have hammer this end, so they want to try and keep that shot into the button open. So So just trying to move that center line guard over.
They have it open up, and Christina Black, the third here for Marianne Arsenault. Baxter, pardon me.
Christina hard at work sweeping this one.
Yeah, exactly.
So throughout the game, you may notice one sweeper at a time. For the people that are new to curling, or maybe you're just watching us for the first time, there is allowed 2 sweepers per stone. A lot of times we see one sweeper now to help with the direction of the stone or the path it is taking. And we'll see the second sweeper jump on sometimes if we need it to travel a little farther, maintain the momentum a little bit, or go faster, as some people might interpret the speed of the rock that way.
Here is Jocelyn Adams, the second. In just a couple of moments, we're going to see the newest member of this team, Breen, Marley Powers.
Yeah, a lineup change on that team this year. Last year, Tanya Hilliard was playing with the team. I think she's opted to spend some time on some studies this year. So with the course load that these students have versus their training time as an athlete, sometimes you have to choose one over the other, and glad to see Tanya working towards her career and hope to see her back on the ice in the future.
Yeah, Tanya's dad was actually one of the coaches on the team last year, and Jeff Wilson taking over that role, so. Not much of a brush laid on here at the front end of Marianne Arsenault's team.
Yeah.
Now starting to.
Christina just looking to draw in on the button here. Very nice sweeping at the end to get that last little bit of movement out of it.
And they've got it pretty congested there at the 4-foot area to start things off here in end number 1.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter how many rocks are in play. It's the ones in the middle or closest to that count. So there could be 10 or 12 rocks in there, but only 1 point scored.
Seen that, like we had covered the game versus Chad Stevens and Kendall Thompson. I must have think that almost every rock was in play. But you know what? All it was ones right across the board until the end.
Yeah, the finesse game sometimes produces a lot of rocks in play. So a lot of come-arounds, tap-backs, freezes. You'll see a lot of delicate finesse shots when there's a lot of stones in play.
As I said, here is Marley Powers, and you mentioned about the Tanya Hilliard was actually throwing the 4th stone last year. Breen threw the 3rd rock, so Breen back to throwing the 4th stone here this year as Marley Powers moves into the 3rd role.
Yeah, so their stone just a little bit too heavy on this shot, so it went to the back and changed up the backing a little bit, leaving an opportunity for Marianne here to place a second guard on this stone.
Yeah, she looks pretty good for Breen here to take one, who has hammer here 1. She's got one right practically on the lid.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to get a second stone in there for point.
Christina Black. Light brushing here from
looking to get the line right, since it doesn't necessarily matter how far in front of the rings it is. It's very important to be just off that center line like she achieved there. I think we'll see Teresa try to wiggle some opening to try to get in there. She will need a path into that button with her last stone, indicating there with the motion of her brush that she'd like to try the run back and maybe chip the blue out. Doesn't necessarily matter. She moves her yellow stone in the back. There is a second catcher blue rock there, so she may move them around in the back as well, which could work for her.
That shot there indicates of how cluttered the front is here. So big weight here being shown here by Powers. So much for a conservative first end, possibly.
Yeah, definitely going hard real early here.
Jam, jam. And now they've got 2 right there practically on the lid.
Yeah, she has opened up a path, though, so it's not an overall bad shot. We have 2 in there, but there is a couple rocks to go. As long as Teresa can keep that open, she has a chance to get something in there.
Could you think they could maybe talk about maybe blocking that path there? To
Yeah.
probably block those 2 blues?
I would expect Marianne to plug this hole that's in the front between the blue and the yellow stone. Basically put the stone where Christina had just placed it the last time they threw.
Skip rocks here in 1. And a little bit of different strategy than what we have seen, as I mentioned a couple of seconds ago. A lot of conservative blanks in the first end, and this one, not so much.
Yeah, you usually see a team, depending on the makeup of the team, the dynamics that they have. Some teams will try to prolong the scoring and play very fast ends, very clean ends, not a lot of rocks in play. If I look across the sheets, the Brothers Jones game appears to be that way, as well as the McAvoy-Pinckney. They're playing very limited rocks in play, trying to bank some time. This is a timed event, so they're trying to play quicker ends, bank some time, and then they can play a little harder the second half of the game. Our game, we're going very aggressive very quickly by both teams, and then we'll see how the scoring goes. If it stays tight, we may see this style of play throughout the whole game.
There, as we were pretty well predicting, right on cue, blocking the path there for Breen here.
So Teresa now has her own yellow stone that she could run back into this. It's always more advantage to send your own stone back.
Yes.
So that you leave your own rock in play instead of theirs. We'll see Marley try to line it up. You want to know a very precise location. The amount of rocks that actually touch each other when they impact is very, very, very small. So making sure she understands the shot.
They were runners-up at the Dave Jones Cashspiel back in October, this team Breen, as we take a look at Teresa Breen, getting ready to throw her first. And thanks to the pressure by the Arsenault foursome, facing a tough shot here on her first here in the end. You can hear them saying going hard, may have something, and they will just touch that blue and the yellows go out. So they just push it in just a little bit further into the clutter that's in front of the house.
Yeah, just didn't quite get the angle they were hoping for. Just curled a little too much on them. As we said, it is a very precise location doing these angle raises. But the rocks, when they do make contact, travel and pop off each other quite well. These stones are very good for that.
Black and Arsenault having a conversation. They're just trying to... What would you do? Because I would think that you probably want to, see that. That would be my shot, is, make sure that she can't even run back her own or push that yellow one back. It's just put it right in front of that yellow one that's in front of the house there.
Yeah, definitely want to make sure she can't raise that, because she's already tried it. So you never want to try to give the opponent a second chance at the same shot. So just a guard over this, and that'll make the scoring area very, very tight for Teresa. I'm not quite sure. She may have to try and do a double run back or something just to eliminate some points.
Arsenault with her final stone here in N1. Hand up there from Baxter right away.
Yeah, it usually indicates the rock is a little heavy, so a little bit more weight than they're looking for. Looking for line, though. Just over the hog line will work if it's in front of that yellow stone. So we
starting to maybe over curl a bit. And it does, so it does leave her a chance here to push that yellow back, as that just went a little bit too far off the path and had the right weight, but just over curled.
Left an opening definitely for Teresa to try this shot again. Has narrowed it up, so we do have to make sure that the precision is heightened here. So Well, we expected some great shots here today, so starting off in our first end with some pretty tense moments.
It's the opposite of how you probably try to do things on when you go back to work on a Monday morning and try to ease into things. Not the case here. Easing right into this one, not so much. Just trying to put this yellow back in there and spill some of those blue stones out. Final stone, Breen here in one.
Needs to curl.
Gonna be all over that one. And there it is. So steals of 2 for Arsenault number 1.
Yeah, her guard served the purpose. It made that path for that raise much more difficult. Even though it wasn't where Marianne had wanted it, it served its purpose.
So 2-0 there for Marianne Arsenault over Breen here in the first end as a result of steal. So Breen will keep the hammer here and into throwing the yellow stones. And you and I, of course, worked on the junior championships, and you probably put a lot more work into it as being one of the organizers, of course, but you also came on mic. And one of the stories in that was how many steals and points as a result of those steals. It's, turning out to be the way that it is in curling, just coming and, your success of how you do in Bonspiels championships, regular play is how well you steal, and a big steal there by Arsenault in end number 1.
Yeah, each team has a different playing style. It depends on the 4 players on the ice. Each person brings a different dynamic to the team. We sometimes refer to it as a team DNA because each team's DNA is different. With that, some teams prefer not to have the hammer. Some teams play very well with the hammer. The juniors are still learning and developing a lot of their skill sets, so you sometimes see a hot and cold phase with them, and perhaps sometimes with an individual player on that team. So they're still learning and developing at the junior level, and we see a very different game style. As well, we will see different game styles between the men's and ladies here this week. And we'll see very much finesse shots with the ladies, and with the men we'll probably see a lot of big weight hits and a little bit more aggressive play with their style.
This one comes into the rings.
Now that the players are coming towards us, I might be able to get a time and find out how the speed of the ice is here in the second end.
Yeah, we'll give a little hit on that blue one. And out she goes, so exchanging shots here early in 2.
Yeah, so this end already setting up to be very clean end. Teresa Breen may be thinking a blank here would be beneficial.
They're working hard on this one already.
Yeah, so we see the one sweeper trying to keep the rock from curling too much, so we're affecting the line.
It's a little bit of a roll towards center line and to the other side of the sheet.
We may not get a speed for the draw here. We might be trading some hits for a stone or 2.
Might have heard our microphones pick up the Karen Skiffington stopwatch, and we'll be passing that time in just a couple of seconds. Not a brush laid to this here by Adams and Powers.
So, of course, this was a hit, so I got about 11.5 seconds on that one, which would be what some of us would refer to perhaps as a control weight.
Unable to stick the shooter there was Simpson, so things cleaned up right now as we wait the throw from Jennifer Baxter.
So I believe Jennifer played lead last year, or before Jennifer Krause joined this team. So it's nice to see her excelling in her new role as second. Also a very dedicated mixed doubles curler. New event at the Olympics this year is the mixed doubles. So
that is intense. I watched that over the weekend. That's
very physically demanding. Yeah.
And you could see that some people are still like all those years of experience with just 4, and and I'm supposed to get up and sweep that.
Yes.
It's intense. I mean,
and a lot of them play the 4-man curling that we're seeing here, and they're sweeping with 2 grippers. So to get up and try to sweep a different style with your slider foot, sometimes it's a learning curve. But we are, Lakeshore Curling Club is hosting the mixed doubles this year, the first weekend of March. So we're looking forward to having the event. We had junior doubles last year, and I really enjoyed having the players come out for that. I love the speed of the game. It's so quick. So definitely be interested to see what the public's response is to after it appears at the Olympics this year.
5 stones in play that they get to throw in that one.
Correct. There are 6 stones that are used, 5 are delivered, and the first stone for each team is placed.
Now, of course, they also have while we're on this topic, there's a hit and roll. You want to talk about maybe the power play scenario? Or are you familiar with that in that one? Or?
Yeah, a little bit. So the power play is in the mixed doubles. As we watch Teresa Breen here try to create a corner guard so she can perhaps get her deuce.
Yep.
The power play is used once per game in the mixed doubles, and you have to have the hammer in order to use it. That gives you the opportunity to move the pre-placed stones from the center line over to either the left or right side of the sheet, thus creating an opportunity perhaps to score your deuce. Last year we had the junior doubles, and I noticed a lot of the teams, as soon as they got a lead, wanted to use their power play. In the mixed doubles trials, road to the Olympics that we saw recently on television, we see it a lot used in the second half just to create a bonus opportunity. Originally it was designed to try to come back from a deficit. So nice corner guard here by Team Breen, and Team Arsenault just looking to keep everything clean.
Yeah, so if you folks have a chance to see it, and you have a chance to see it like right in person, as Karen's talking about, at the Lakeshore Curling Club, do it, because it is definitely fantastic. Having a chance to watch it on the television over the weekend. Intense.
Yeah, if anybody tuned into the broadcast during the Under-21 Championships at Lakeshore 2 weeks ago, they probably saw the dots in the ice, the 9 dots. Those are the dots for the predetermined position for the stone.
So far, things are a little bit more quieter than they were the first end. Here in end 2. Marley Powers. Solo effort by her, a little bit of a roll in behind that blue one.
Yeah, it rolled in behind the blue, but I believe they're close enough that if Marianne just hits this blue, the yellow's gone. If she loses her blue at the same time, I don't think she's very concerned about that. She is looking to try to force Team Breen to score 1 so she gets the hammer back.
Christina Black throwing a missile here and in 2. Punches that yellow out and sticks that blue one in the 12-foot area.
Stays to nibble on the front there and keeps count 1 point.
Ladiseur got a single point on sheet E against McDermott. 1-0 score there. Blank in 1 between Jones and Brothers, so no scores there in the second. And McAvoy got 2 points there in the first, 2-0 over Pink.
So Teresa coming out here to help out.
Hope they can get it crossed, and they just do.
So again, Teresa just looking to set up any opportunity to have a guard to draw around to get her deuce. So our sweeping duo on Team Breen of Adams and Simpson are best friends. They've been friends for a very long time, both from New Brunswick, and it's Jocelyn's birthday today. So a happy birthday out to Jocelyn.
busy schedule today, so I don't know if they'll have time for cake or anything like that. I imagine they'll probably squeeze it in somehow, some way, but
I'm sure there'll be somewhere along the lines they'll get that in.
Arsenault here in number 2. Up by 2. The Jennifers, Krause and Baxter. Now coming together here towards the end. Trying to push it here to get 2 into the house here.
We see Jen Baxter almost crawling over top of the rock as she's sweeping, and she's just trying to get her broom head pressure in a different area to help encourage a line change or maintain the momentum there and carry the rock a little farther.
Teresa Breen will make her way up here. So her first of skip stones here in number 2. Both these teams coming in at 1-1. Hoping to go 2-1 by the time that this one comes to an end this afternoon. David just mentioned, of course, brothers and McDermott 1-2 in the province, and so far they are tied now for first place at 2-0 after 2 draws. Day number 1. Breen throws on its way. The front end once again. Simpson and Adams.
So they'll get around the guard here, but will it be enough to get in?
Starting to take a hook, and it will come short and just be a little bit shy and get close to those 2 blue stones.
Just a little bit light on that one, so Marianne will probably try to take advantage of that same path and try to get in there first, as we say. We really force Teresa to draw against 3 and force her to that 1 point.
Arsenault making her way up the ice here and into. Forced the issue in the first and was the benefactor of stealing 2 from Breen, and once again has a little bit of a force on here to Breen and in 2. Hoping to put this one in the house. Lie 3, so then it would be Breen facing 3 of her last as she has a hammer here and into.
We'll try and get a time on this and see what the speed of the ice is like today. The ice crew doing a great job here to maintain it.
Krause and Baxter working on it soon. Light cleaning, going for line here. Jennifer Krause, Jennifer Baxter.
So I got a 16-4 on that, so it's probably just outside of the house.
Well, they'll close the center line.
So for people not used to the timing, that was the time for the stone they took to travel between the 2 hog lines. We find about a 15.5 we think will get you to the tee line. So the 16.4 that I got is relative to the top of the house. So Teresa facing 3. Needs to draw full 8 foot here to outcount, or sorry, facing 2, needs to draw full 8 foot.
Arsenault got a steal of 2 and 1. Breen with her last rock here in 2, try and prevent another steal of 2.
Very good strategy if you can take 2, give 1, take 2, give 1 through the whole game. So, but of course, both teams try to do that, and sometimes it ends up being 1-1-1.
Simpson and Adams. Right to the 4-foot area to get the single point, and as you said, 2 for 1. So 2-1. Arsenault have the hammer in 3, up by 1. And they're pretty happy about it, as you see the fist bumps by the red and black team, and that is the Marianne Arsenault foursome there in the corner of your screen.
Yeah, you would always sometimes think that, your opponent scoring a point would not be in your favor, but in the sport of curling, it gives you the opportunity to throw the last stone in the end because the hammer has flipped. So it's not always a bad thing in curling to allow the opponent to score one. See some shuffling there on the edge of the sheet as the sheet next to us was very close to the edge, so some sweepers came by closely and just disrupted us for a moment.
Yeah, it was yesterday's first draw, of course, of the championships. I can remember, I can't remember if it was the women or the men, but it was definitely like a real, almost like a good shoulder-to-shoulder check in hockey. That's how close and intimate they were, and luckily everybody stayed on their feet, but it wasn't that intense as I made it, but basically you get the drift that there's not a lot of room to maneuver here. A lot of people, of course, get a chance to see like the championships, the semifinals, and this is kind of relatively, sort of new sort of thing. There's no separation in between the sheets, so everybody's pretty well, squeezed in there pretty tightly.
Yeah, at the national level, there's a little bit more room. They have foam barriers and walking areas. Here in the Atlantic provinces, we don't have dividers down our sheets very often. There are a few clubs. Sometimes you see dividers between sheet 2 and 3, but not necessarily between 1 and 2. I believe out west you see it a little more often.
Breen puts up a corner guard, and Kraus will
attempt to come
give
around.
a little touch and sit there and block the center lines on both sides of the sheets right now.
So, of course, the free guard zone in effect for this event, so Team Arsenault would not have been able to remove the Yellowstone from play. They can move it around, but they can't take it out of play. So they were just trying to draw around and just came up a little short on that one, giving Breen the opportunity to secure one behind hers.
Sepsic going to try to come around the Yellowstone. Yep. Hoping it to sit. And it will be back 4. But you can see, buried by those 2 stones in front.
Yeah, a little bit of room for Marianne to potentially get in there and get shot, if she can follow her down.
Let's meet Jennifer Kraus, 37 years of age. 2 Scotties nationals, 2 mixed Canadian appearances, and she works at Canada Life Regional as a sales manager. Basically just trying to follow the same path. And
real tight to the guard here. Good,
if
great
they
sweeping.
touched it, it was the lightest of touches, and we'll keep it going and bump that yellow back to set shot rock.
Wonder if you could have got a piece of paper between those rocks.
I don't know if you watched NFL football, but they actually used like some sort of card to indicate a measurement one time, and they banned that. So you used a good reference there, a piece of paper or cardboard or something.
I remember a few years ago there was a commercial for Scotties curling and whatnot. And, they show a scene where the stone goes between a port, and they said inches. We wish we had inches. So your football, they go by inches, we go by millimeters.
And if there's a smaller type of measurement out there, they probably go by that one as well.
Well, for the crowd that comes and watches, they see our measurements. They're done now with a laser measuring device. The team does have the option to pull out the micrometer, the old measuring device, if they want to. But the laser measure is getting right down to the millimeters. So very accurate, and it's one of the first times we're starting to see that used here. Has been used at the national level for the last season or so. A little easier for the umpires to carry around with them.
This is Jennifer Baxter, 30 years of age. 2 appearances at the Scotties Nationals, winner of a Nova Scotia mix. 2 mixed doubles Nova Scotia champion. And she works at the Learning Center Resource as a teacher at Elizabeth Sutherland School. That is when she's not at a ring.
Yes. I'm sure she's probably in a curling club quite often.
I guess that should probably really work for everybody, sort of like one of those fortune cookies, you know. Put that at the end of everything that's in that fortune.
When they're not in a club.
Yeah, when they're not out curling.
Yeah, very busy season for these competitive curlers. They play in so many events, and they still have day jobs. A lot of the players out here are mothers, so full-time workers, full-time moms, and curlers. So having a very strong support system at home.
The brothers force them to say that they're the babies team.
Yeah, I said one day they came to an event at my home club. I said, I think I need to set up some stroller parking area here. There's quite a few little ones around cheering on all the moms.
Well, this is looking like the first M. Lots of rocks and plays you see here in the third.
Yeah, Teresa Breen, looking to capitalize on that free guard zone early in the end, has done so. Looks like Marion's going to try to remove this stone because it can be promoted into the button area.
Also, Jen Baxter had one junior national appearance too, to add to her already impressive curling resume.
Ooh, she gets the jam on her own. So a break here for Breen if she can capitalize on it and get another stone in there. So we're looking for 8 foot around the outturn side here.
A lot of shrapnel up front, as you see with that shot there.
Yeah, if Breen can get into this top 8 foot area, I don't think the blue stone on the far left could be promoted into that area very easily. It could still be promoted back to the back 4 foot, but Breen just trying to make sure she's got a opportunity to reduce scoring for Arsenault. Again, we'd love to see a steal of 1 by Team Breen, or a force of 1 is also acceptable.
Coming around those whole heap of stones in the front there. Sit there in the 4 foot area to lie 2. Breen here without hammering in 3.
So Marianne not liking the 2 stones here in the front, so she try to hit it at such an angle that maybe she can get rid of both the blue and yellow stone at the front. By doing so, she might pop her blue one back towards the yellows in the 4 foot.
Here is the 30-year-old Christina Black, 10 Nova Scotia Scotties, 3 provincial Nova Scotia mixed, 1 silver at national, 2 CIS silver. That's with St. Mary's University. She is a proud Cape Bretoner. That's her words, not mine. And works at TD Bank as a customer service manager.
So great job by Christina here to clear that front. She almost got the blue stone to go back onto the yellow. It just kissed it over a little bit. But the path is open, so Teresa Breen will try to block it either by drawing in or a guard. Either will be acceptable in this situation.
And just another follow-up there on Christina Black. My wife works with a co-worker whose husband is a relative of Christina Black, so it's a small world after all.
Yeah, we've talked about all these family connections in the curling community, and sometimes if you're not part of the curling community, you have connections to them. So my curling club that I'm at, we go down to the TD quite often for change, and she's there, so we top up our float. Christina's working for us.
Powers will block the path there as this will come to a stop. They're sitting 2, and they have 3 guards there right close to the center line.
Yeah, the stone on the 4 foot on the right-hand side of our screen here is open. So there's an option either to do a double or perhaps try to come in and maybe roll in, tap that out and roll into center. So indicating board weight by touching the sideline. So just enough to tap the stone and perhaps roll to the center line and sit top 4. All
out there by itself with this throw by Christina Black. Now starting to come.
She may end up getting both here.
Jams that yellow towards the back, pushes that yellow out, but back a little bit further to the back 4.
Yeah, good result. She's rolled over behind cover, so they are sitting 2 and 3 with Teresa Breen, number 1 there at the back of the 4-foot. So Teresa's going to try to get in there. Right now that Yellowstone is open for Marianne. She could draw to it and just tap it out. So definitely want to get a second one in there, perhaps top 4 if she can get it around the centerline guards. Last night we were seeing a lot of movement from the inside out on the sheet of ice, not as much from outside in, so it'd be interesting to see that if we're getting a little bit more curl this today. So taking about the middle of the 8-foot, I believe earlier we were taking closer to the edge of the 4-foot yesterday.
Teresa Breen taking her time here. As you see, the typical usual pre-shot routine.
Very important to a curler to go through their pre-shot routine. Sometimes if you rush it, you're not quite as stable as you thought you would be. And to make sure you execute every shot here.
Skip rocks in 3, 2-1. Front end working hard, Simpsons and Adams.
A little bit light on her. Although I think had she got around, I think she would have been at least full 12-foot. Blocks that path a little bit though. So, and it is a stone she can promote on her next one if she needs to. So it'll be interesting to see what Marianne decides to do here.
As you said, not completely a bad one.
No, she might be forcing Marianne to draw around on the other side, although we did use that side of the sheet earlier this end. We haven't seen a rock down here and a couple rocks. But there is lots of room to get into the 4-foot there, get 4-foot behind cover.
So after a very conservative, quiet second in, of course, everything was pretty well like gangbusters there in the first. Lots of rocks in play. Same story here in number 3. Back in 1, Arsenault's actually got a steal of 2. Now hoping to get a score here in 3. She has the hammer, but right now the yellow rock belonging to Breen is the shot rock. So, Karen?
Yeah, we're seeing 2 styles of play here where Marianne Arsenault likes a very clean game, and Team Breen likes to play the free guard, uses the free guard zone to get a lot of rocks in play. So I believe you'll see that whenever Breen has first rock, that will go in the free guard zone unless they get a sizable lead. And Marianne likes to keep things clean.
The 2 Jennifers guiding this one down.
Needs to curl a bit. It might be a little heavy.
Could be a hot child in the city, but we'll have to wait and see. They wanted to put the brakes on, but not in enough time.
Yeah, didn't work out for them. Now Teresa Breen has an opportunity to draw that same path and draw in there with the blue stone as backing. Marianne does have the hammer, so she may have an opportunity to get 1 here. If Teresa can leave this a little bit high on the 4-foot, it would be very difficult for Marianne to get in there. I almost want to just bite the 4-foot.
They use the term in this sport, this is why skips get the big dollars to make the big shots. Breen feels like she's had to make big shots pretty well in the opening 3 ends so far. Status quo once again for her as she throws her first.
Need to get a little more curl out of this. It's coming now. Might see Jocelyn sweep at the end here.
said first, I meant second. My apologies, folks.
So she's frozen here, giving Marianne the opportunity to come in and draw for one.
Center line path blocked off, pardon me.
So Marianne has just thrown down this line, so it's not unfamiliar for her, and she does have some backing.
Feel like a broken record saying this, pretty well been final stones that the person who's been throwing the final stones have been facing two. Case in point, once again, facing two here in three. Marianne Arsenault, final stone. Relying on the sweepers.
Great communication from these teams to make sure that the sweepers and the person in the house calling line knows exactly what's going on with the stone.
And just like that, whoa, look at that right in your back pocket. And high fives afterwards. All that work, single point. 3-1 after three. They were happy about it. That was a good team shot. Breen will have the hammer and in number 4.
Yeah, so Breen will be looking to score a deuce and tie it up. We're getting close to the midpoint of the game, so we may start to see a little bit of shuffling in the strategy after that midpoint. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if it's working for them, they may continue on this same path. But definitely, I would expect Marianne will want to keep this very clean this end. We may see her call her first stone in.
There you see 3-1 as we play here in the 4th. Good chance to take a look at the scores on the other sheets. And Nancy Della, Hans Forsum, also known as the Colleen Jones team, doing pretty well. 4-0 on top of Brothers as they play the 4th. Ladysur, 4-0 over McDermott, so maybe what you classify as maybe a little bit of shockers. And McAvoy 2-0 over Pinckney. Or 3-0, pardon me. So many numbers.
Yeah, we talk about team dynamics, and some teams prefer to play with a hammer, some teams prefer to try and steal. Some teams play better on the first draw or the morning draw. Some teams play better at the night draw. So definitely seeing a change. Yesterday was a 3-day draw. Today's a 4. Tomorrow again is a 3-day draw, so the girls will get a little bit of a break tomorrow. So sometimes that works in your favor if you have a morning draw and you're a morning team.
Well, I think of it would be like yesterday you mentioned about the 3, and it was like a 9 o'clock and then 7 o'clock one, so it splits the days up. You know,
yeah,
they leave the rink and of course get a nap and get some food and everything, and then come back.
Yeah, definitely get a chance to recharge. We are running 2 events. We're running the men's Delight Tankard at the same time here. So the time in between, there is other games. So if you're curling spectator and you want to come down, you can spend the day at the rink. The kitchen's open and serving some great lunches. Lots going on here at the club for games. So there's a women's game and then a men's game. And then there'll be another women's game again at 8 o'clock tonight.
Just hit the 1 o'clock hour on the east coast of Canada. 12 Eastern for those watching in Ontario. And of course, if you're live streaming, watching from anywhere around the World Wide Web, you're watching the 2018 Nova Scotia Scotties Tournament of Hearts. Glad you could join us. My name's Dan Hobson, and joining me is Karen Skiffington and the Bell 5 TV1 crew, and our producer is Chuck Calder. Glad you could join us. 3-1 to score, Arsenault over Breen as we play the 4th. And Breen has the hammer throwing the yellow stones.
So Breen just ignoring Marianne's rocks here in the house. She's trying to set up her deuce, so she's placed her corner guard and asked Amanda Simpson to go around it. The theory is she can remove the blue rocks after she gets that point in. A lot of discussion for weight in line, so great communication. Going to slip behind the tee line here. Always want to be above the tee line when you're playing. Sometimes if it slips behind that tee line, which is the red line you see across the center of the circle, if it slips behind that, it could work in favor of your opposition.
Team Teresa Breen having a pretty good season. They were runners-up at the Dave Jones Cash Wheel back in October. And on the World Tour, 21 wins and 14 losses. They did win the Lady Monctonian Invitational Spiel 8-1 over Veronica Smith out of Charlottetown. So they are doing very well on tour. And, they did pretty good last year. So far, of course, we talked earlier off the top about Tanya Hilliard not being here. Marley Powers has come in, and, they haven't really, missed anything. Of course, they do miss her as a teammate, of course, but in terms of play, it's just everything's still been, smooth sailing here for the team.
Yeah, very balanced fit to slide into someone else's position and to maintain that momentum the team has. We just saw a real nice shot from Jen Baxter here, run back and then the stone off the back. So just trying to create some rocks and play on the outside edges by Teresa here. She was trying to attempt to hit and roll behind cover, rolled the other way though, thus creating 2 corner guards, which will still work for her.
Pinckney getting a little bit closer on sheet B. The game Pinckney versus McAvoy. She's on the board. She's got a single point as they play the fourth, so it's still Julie McAvoy 3 and Colleen Pinckney 1. Light brushing here by the front end.
Just looking to replace that centerline guard that Teresa had removed.
You could hear her say, "Go, go, go."
Yeah, I wonder sometimes if it's intimidation or motivation when they're yelling at the sweepers, but whatever gets the job done, right?
Well, I think it has to do a lot with distance.
The team dynamics, if you want them yelling at you because you need to, or you just need the
encouragement. If they're yelling at you from a distance, that's encouragement. If they're yelling at you and they're right in your ear, that's motivation. Correct?
I always enjoyed it as a motivation. If someone was, hollering for me to sweep, I would sweep my heart out, and I would probably sweep harder if they kept yelling. So I always thought of it as motivation.
Well, you've mentioned a lot in the broadcast about sweeping styles and how we used to see the traditional. We got a nice beauty of a shot here.
Yeah, just got by that front.
Yeah, through the board and pushing the blue one out, and the yellow one sits there.
I think it's still open though. There is some stones out front we can't see on the screen. There we are. We see about half the stone. So certainly something Marianne can go out. So you were saying about different sweeping styles?
Yeah, I was saying, sometimes you just have one person, the other one's pretty well with the head up, guiding the path, and with the head up, watching it. I said this joke before. It was, of course, Jim Nix, curling fanatic, and of course, coach of the Mounties, and his daughter, saying he not too sure about how he feels about how here you are sweeping a rock and somebody's telling you hurry hard in your ear, sort of thing. It was the funniest comment I've ever heard. And it's true, too. But
yeah, you look at them and go, aren't you going to help me?
It's like, here you are telling me to hurry hard, and you're just, like...
walking along.
Yeah.
There's been
you're just going for a walk and yelling in my ear, and I'm doing the work, sort of thing. So.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes in the sweeping over the last couple seasons. A lot of experimentation, and kudos to the teams that have been developing all those different techniques and styles. To the point where now you'll see all the broom heads are yellow here at this event. So that is a mandatory type of fabric that you have to have at this level. It is a specific fabric and a specific color. Even though the brooms may be different, the material is still the same on every broom head.
Powers bumps the blue stone belonging to Marianne Arsenault. So, and just like that, play is going to be made on the one just thrown by Powers here by Christina Black. Well, we talked about that sweeping styles.
Yeah, and of course Jen a doubles player. She's very efficient on either side, so you may even see her kind of wrap herself around the rock, almost go from behind. The mixed players, I'm not sure how often people may have seen that. You sometimes see them start on one side of the rock and wrap themselves around, and they end up on the other side of the rock. So some very different techniques out there nowadays. So
Marley Powers in 4.
Yeah, just trying to get wrapped around this guard and into the forefoot.
That blue one coming up a little bit in their face. You'll see it, and they will get a piece of it.
Shaking her head, she wasn't happy. I'm not sure if she wasn't happy with the release on that, or if there was something that happened right after release in the path of the stone. There may have been a little piece of debris or something. Not the result they wanted. The opportunity here for Marianne to get behind cover. Great shot of the friends and families from watching. We got a few spectators out on the ice today. Some ice level seating available.
Brave soldiers, but they're bundled up. Found it funny at your junior curl. You see like blankets, and sometimes all you saw was eyes. That's all you saw. Everybody bundled up, hats and the blankets.
Yeah, the bleachers we had were also metal bleachers, so you had to bring something to sit on as well, or your bum would get cold. So we saw a lot of blankets at that event. I think even the junior program was renting them to try to make a little bit of money for their program, their development program out there.
You see the hands up, trying to put the brakes on this one here. Baxter Kraus now.
Trying to finish it, get it wrapped around that front guards. Some people might wonder why they just sweep at the end, and that will just help it curl around the rock a little bit longer. So there is a front stone, so this blue one that just drew in is partially covered. So she'll try to hit what she can see. If she could do that with soft weight, she may get around it enough to roll behind her own yellow. These ladies certainly are going close to the guards, so some great shot making from both teams.
Yeah, so close there couldn't even probably anything in between it had, and we've seen that throughout.
We were expecting a finesse game, so we're certainly getting that.
So far, the difference maker here in this one was that steal by Arsenault in number 1. Pretty well after teams, of course, scoring single points in the second and the third, but the difference maker, that steal in 1. Breen is wearing skip rocks here in 4.
As you see, Jocelyn working hard, Amanda coaching her on.
Yeah, are they on that blue one? Yes, they are.
The rub off? No.
Will that yellow stick around? Will it turn around? No, it will go out. So,
although with Teresa Breen having last rock, not a bad option to open up that front as well. So sometimes you don't mind playing those shots a little close to the guard. We did see Jocelyn work hard at trying, but opened it up. Look to see Marianne just replace that guard, make it more difficult for Teresa to score her 1.
Off camera, you can see like the front end of Adams and Simpson. They're having a conversation. And they'll probably pass along that information here after the to an end. And
yeah, you always want to make sure.
Yeah,
you always want to make sure you understand if a shot's not quite the way it expected, why that may have been. If you know you threw the rock light and that was the result, then that's the diagnosis. If you're not quite sure, maybe it's in the ice that you've taken that you haven't seen yet. So making sure that you understand perhaps what had happened so you can better diagnose going forward. So, remember in the third or fourth end when this happened, that was along this path. You kind of remember those that way.
Last rock for Marion Arsenault here in 4 without hair, trying to block the path here for Breen.
Line looking good.
I heard the extra whoa, whoa, whoa. That was from Marianne herself.
Yep.
Right on.
Great guard. So Teresa now forced to draw the 4-foot.
I imagine probably you've done plenty of perfect guards like that, Karen, in your days.
If I were a skip, I would love to throw a guard every time. That would mean I'd have 3 great curlers ahead of me performing just as well. So. Don't throw skips rocks very often. So
very often's better than none at all. So
we'll have to get you out trying some rocks someday, Dan.
Ooh.
So many of the clubs in the area do learn to curl programs. So anybody that's interested in this sport, you're seeing it on web streaming for the first time because a friend or family told you to tune in. A lot of clubs in our area, as well as wherever you may be, can offer learn to curl programs. Just reach out to the club, or if you have to go through a provincial or a national organization, nscurl.com would have some information, as well as curling.ca.
Look at that, right
on the pin.
Got that in your back pocket. You got a lot of things going for you, but it's a single point here for Breen.
Teams are forcing each other to score.
3-2, yes.
Yeah.
As we head to the 5th, and they're really they're in the mood to give today because they're giving the hammer to each other. Arsenault will have it once again here in number 5, throwing the blue stones.
Yeah, it appears as though most teams want to try to force one, but the setting up the deuce has been very difficult. Both teams executing so well. It's getting very difficult to set up the deuce. So we'll see Teresa try to use the free guards on this end. Get some guards in play. Perhaps if she could get a steal this end, go into the 5th end with a tie.
Well, that was a beautiful shot there in number 4. A port to come through and then just put it right on the button there to get her single point. Yeah. One of the shots of the first half for sure.
Great team shots when you know the skipper can give it to you and the sweepers can put it on the lid.
Well, this is interesting as Breen came out quickly.
Yeah, there might, this is a marathon, not a sprint, as somebody had said last night during the broadcast. So our Teresa might be feeling some of the cold air out there and might want to warm up a little bit. So sometimes
definitely wasn't light, so it wasn't like they having 3 sweepers on there.
Yeah.
And we mentioned earlier about everybody so close. McPhail and Simpson sort of bumped into each other. There's in the corner of the shot. McPhail sort of blocked out there by a couple of Adams members there. So we said, get a little closer.
Yeah, and if sometimes you get your head down and you're sweeping, you don't know how close you are to the sidelines sometimes. So I know when I put my head down and sweep, I'm going through. No matter where the rock's going, I'm going with it. So sometimes don't notice those players on the side sheets.
So are you saying you've gored a couple of people in the past? Is that what you're saying? Head
no,
down.
I bumped into a few.
There's a difference between gored and bumped into.
Yeah. There's no checking in curling, so. And we usually have a good chuckle after, so nobody's ever hurt. So Amanda looking to hit on this blue because it is in the rings. And hopefully get a rollover behind their centerline guard. These rocks are traveling quite a lot after the hit. This might roll.
Will they get the roll? Well,
very nice.
Side. No, right on.
Great shot. Great line call to anticipate that proper angle to hit the stone and roll over. We certainly picked a good game to watch today.
It's a shot maker's paradise.
So we're seeing that one sweeper again, looking to hold the line.
Now getting a little bit more help here.
Yeah, a little help to drag it. They're very close to that front guard.
Can they get
Just a little rub.
just a little rub, as you mentioned.
Yeah. So Teresa not taking any time at all here and get the blue out of here. I want yellow rocks only in the rings. She could get a little flop over towards center line. It'll protect that 4-foot rock. Our birthday girl.
Jocelyn Adams. We did not choreograph that. That just came. That just worked.
Is there a jam here? No.
Oh, just squeezed by, and as you said, she wanted only yellows. Well, you got what you wished for. 1, 2, 3. One of them being outside the house, so line 2.
Yeah, so Marianne just trying to take this guard. It's more of a danger right now than the number 2 stone, so that's why we're opting to go after the front guard. And if she hits it right, she may catch the other one on the way out too. That's Jen Baxter, phenomenal at these hit weights. Straight as an arrow as she comes out of the hack.
Kraus and black. Bumps the yellow back, off, a little bit off the center line.
Yeah, moved it around a little bit, so that's always a good thing when you've changed the dynamic of the setup of the shot. She's left a blue stone just off center, so they can promote that later if they need it. It isn't on the center line, so having hammer, it's still of use for them. So Team Breen here just looking to guard up that single point on the 4-foot.
Well, we talked about, of course, being birthday girl. I'm glad they didn't make her sort of wear like one of those like silly birthday hats
The day is young. I'm not sure what they'll do for this evening. They are playing again at 8 o'clock, so I imagine everything's pretty calm for today. They wouldn't be on the ice until late tomorrow.
So, in short, Kara just said, day's not over.
Such a great camaraderie on that team. Nothing would surprise me. Although to spend it with 4 people that you enjoy playing with, that are great friends, and have a day that you're not at work, you're in the curling club, I think that would be a birthday present for me.
Sticks it once again.
Yeah, moving some of those guards around. Again, we've got a blue close to center line, just a little bit off center. So Teresa would like to get a little bit of overlap here, perhaps have her stone touch the center line. That way, and back on the blue, a little more difficult later on.
Marley Powers here. Get something in your head and you just got.
Yeah.
Just doing that, that commercial there for the Old Spice. Been holding off on trying to do that, so I figured I'd do it there. Get it out of my system, and now it's gone away.
It's done.
Yeah.
Fantastic guard here. So Marianne could either again. Indicated it's not a bad idea, maybe perhaps to hit this at the right ankle and take her own blue with it as well. And just a little discussion there on the ice. Christina looking for a little bit less, so she's probably going to throw a little more weight than maybe Marianne had originally anticipated. Some good weight.
Yeah, pretty well all by itself.
Cleared them both out of the center. Fantastic.
They've said in sometimes they use as a setup shot for maybe the next one. Beautifully done there by Black, clearing things up.
Yeah, and the women's team having a player that can execute and move a bunch of granite is certainly a benefit to your team to have someone on there that can do that. Usually at the second, sometimes after the free guard zone, is out of effect at the second stones. There's a lot of rocks in play in the free guard zone, and having someone that can clear those up is a great secret weapon for a team. And having that in both Jen Baxter and Christina Black works well for this team.
This one will come to a rest there, just
yeah, it slips in a little deep.
In the top 12, yep.
Yeah, so it might set up a double here for two doubles, one that would go into the 4-foot and remove the one on the top 12 and the 4-foot, or we could go sideways and take the 2 stones out of the 12-foot and roll behind cover.
Speaking of side, they'll have a sidebar, Black and Arsenault now.
Yeah, Christina coming down just to take a look at it so she understands the shot. As part of your pre-shot routine, sometimes you want to visualize what the shot is going to be. So if you don't quite have a good understanding of that, it could affect your throw. So just making sure she understands where it wants to, where we want the rocks to travel. You know, as we said, it's so precise when you make contact with that stone to get the right direction off the raised stone.
We talked about the crowd earlier. Going to be jam-packed here tonight. It definitely was last night. That's Black's way here in 5. Bang.
Okay, just missed the top. The second yellow in the 12-foot. Opened up the 4-foot though, so not what they wanted, but not a bad shot nonetheless. So Teresa's been playing guard day here at this end. As we said last end, if you're the skipper, throwing a guard is your favorite thing to do.
It's sort of like a break compared to what they usually have.
Yeah, if you're the skipper and you're getting in the hack and you've got to draw against those 3s and 4s that we saw at the beginning of the game, it's hard to sit down every end and do that. To sit down after a few ends and just guard, you know, the team's working the way they're supposed to, everybody's falling into place, and communication and all those things are falling into place to get to this point.
Cruising right along here on a Wednesday afternoon from the Dartmouth Curling Club. Skip Rocks here in 5.
Just looking for a little more finish. Get it over the center line so it blocks that point stone on the 4-foot. Very nice sweeping.
As you see from there, right on again.
So Marianne couldn't run that back again into the yellows again and try and remove them. It would also open up that path again. She could try to do some type of double off the outside yellow as well on the left-hand side of the screen, but I think she's going to stay trying to open up that center. See Christina lining up the shots, what angles you need.
Consistent has been pretty well word to describe the Marianne Arsenault team. They've had some 5th place finishes at the Royal LePage OVCA Women's Fall Classic, the Dave Jones, Stanhope Simpson Insurance Mayflower Cash Spiel, and the Spitfire Arms Cash Spiel.
Yeah, and we're seeing some very consistent play from both teams here. Not a lot of misses, so great game to be watching. Some of the other games are starting to take their 5th end break, so the ice shed getting a little quieter.
And we will remind everybody that when we get back from the 5th end break, we'll update you on the scores from the other sheets taking play at Draw 3 here of the Nova Scotia Scotties Tournament of Hearts, the 2018 edition.
So clears the rock off the front, doesn't get the second like she wanted to, and it rolls, the yellow one rolls into the 8-foot. That would set her up for a double. You can see Teresa guarding this. Now the discussion will be, where does the guard go? Do you guard shot rock or do you guard the double takeout? The double takeout, I think, would be the danger because blue is on the edge of the 12-foot as well. So if she could ever double them out, she would be hitting for 2. So the precision here to place this guard in just the right spot.
Yeah, you're talking pretty well precision. Doesn't benefit you to be long, and it won't benefit just right close to the rings either.
Yeah, the distance between the the hog line and the house. So do you need to be closer to the house? Do you need to be closer to the hog line? You've got to be close enough that she can't curl around you. So probably somewhere in that Deloitte logo area. But you also need the line as well. So making sure that you want covered is in the position. So there's a little bit of give on how far in front of the house, but there's not a lot of give on the line. You want it very precise for the line. So last rock for Teresa here. Trying to make a good situation better.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful, I have to admit.
See our ice crew getting ready to go to work for the 5th end breaks there in the background. Some long days for those crews. They're in here probably an hour and a half before the games start. And they're here all day. Very nice shot here, as we said, right on the logo. So Marianne looks like she's just going to try to draw the 4-foot. She needs full 4 to outcount the Yellowstones.
And she's facing too, once again. It's been the story of this one. The last rocks here for the respective skips, they've all been facing pretty well too with their last shots in the respective ends, and hasn't changed. Same story here in the 5th.
Great strategy on these teams without hammer to really force the single point from the opposition. Both teams being successful in doing that.
A veteran curler for sure. Marianne Arsenault, final stone, end number 5. As Karen mentioned, needs a piece of 4.
Need the full 4. There's
Full
a yellow,
4, yeah.
Yellow sitting on half on the 4, so we want to make sure we get all of the 4 to be safe. Avoid a measure.
They're going hard here.
Hard for line here. Well, she did bring her down to a steal of 1 by Teresa Breen.
Is short, gives up 1.
Yep.
So just like that, pretty well what we expected. Even Steven as we head to the 5th end break, 3-3 Arsenault and Breen. Let's get a recap on what you've seen here for the first 5 ends, Karen.
Yeah, we expected it to be a close game with a lot of finesse shots, so we have seen that. We might see a little bit more aggressive play from one or the other teams in the second half of the game, just trying to get that breakaway, get a 2-pointer, and perhaps get a jump on the other team and build up a little safety. But definitely both teams executing very, very well, and we're seeing those finesse shots that we expected.
3-3 as we head to the 5th end break here. Draw number 3 of the 2018 Nova Scotia Scotties Tournament Hearts on Bell 5 TV.
Arson wicket. No, I just after I hit it, I was like, okay, obviously that wasn't there because I didn't know if the yellow was a touch higher. But then when it hit, I was like, yeah, we're too back. We should have left Well, I almost thought on Marianne's first, we should have tried the angle like onto the one in the fourth one, just because your shoot would have rolled into the and you would have gone the one on the fourth one. Like I would have much rather leave the one in the 12th than leave the one exactly. Even if you yeah, so did I. They were trying to get the one on the side. Looks like okay. Because even if you stay on the center line and get the one in the fourth, which is
minute.
So as you see, both teams have returned to ice surface here, sheet C. 3-3 the score between the 1-1 Marianne Arsenault team of the Mayflower Curling Club and the team Teresa Breen. Keep saying it's the Dartmouth Curling Club, my apologies. Marianne Arsenault, Dartmouth Curling Club, and Teresa Breen out of the Mayflower Curling Club. We play the sixth. My name's Dan Hobson alongside Karen Skiffington. And that's pretty well gone as predicted. Both teams, of course, so close in terms of whether you want to talk about like seedings in the Nova Scotia Curling Association standings. And, you know, it's basically lived up to what we expected on paper, 3-3 after 5 innings.
Very typical play here. Both teams executing very, very well. We're seeing a lot of teams, both teams forcing, taking the time to set up the ends and make sure that the other team can't score more than one. So a couple ends, the skips have gotten into the hack facing a few rocks and execute those draws very well. So I would expect very similar play for this second half until a team can perhaps get a jump and score a deuce. So looking quickly at the time clock, both teams, of course, started out with 38 minutes per team for thinking time. Team Arsenault here with just around 20 minutes, and Team Breen with about 21 and a half minutes. Plenty of time for the second half of the game, and both teams still with 2 timeouts as well.
And as we promised, we'll give you up-to-date scores from the other sheets. Let's start on Sheet E. You and I were talking about this during the break. Ladouceur leading McDermott right now as they play the 6-5-1 right now.
Yeah, the Ladouceur, a junior rink, they just played in the under-21, so they just came out of that and then jumped into this event. Young team, I believe, all under 17 years of age. So probably 15, 16, 17 years of age. So one of the youngest teams to ever compete at the Provincial Scotties. They are doing well. They just posted the 5th end, so it's 5-2 over there with Ladouceur leading.
That's great television when you get that change just like that.
Yeah. I expect them to do well. They can execute shots very well. They have a back end that can throw some really aggressive high weight and clear a lot of rocks. So when they get their groove on, as they say, they can get on a hot streak and perform very well over there.
the Nancy Delahunt foursome, which includes, of course, the Hall of Famer Colleen Jones, and they're doing pretty well as they play the 6. 4-1. They lead that one. And it's a pretty intense one over there on sheet B. Team McAvoy, Team Pinckney. And right now McAvoy 3 and Pinckney 2.
Yeah, they just finished the 5th end, so we'll see a score go up there for the 5th end.
And once again, we talked about great television. A 2-pointer put up there by McAvoy, so just 5-2 as they head to the 5th end break there.
Yeah, very nice, comfortable lead there for McAvoy going into the break. So.
Well, that's a sort of a, I hate to say, use the term must win there for McAvoy 0-2, but they definitely don't want to fall 0-3, so.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you have more check marks on the win side than the loss, especially because you don't know who you're playing, although it is a round robin, so depending on your draw, you might have some of the harder teams later in the event. Some of the early, probably shouldn't say harder teams, but maybe a better seed and maybe a lower seed early in the event, or it could be vice versa.
Clean start here in the 6.
Yes, Team Breen elected to go in with their first stones, so we've seen some rocks into the rings. Arsenault looking to keep everything nice and clean and out to the wings with the hammer. So she's placed a corner guard and is trying to go around it. There is a yellow stone there she
Blue
can
one
use.
coming into picture. Oh, gives a light touch.
Yeah. Don't think it affected the path of the stone
No.
very much, so we get a nice frozen rock here. Not a lot of room to wiggle that blue out.
Talk about threading the eye of the needle.
Of course, there is a corner guard out front there that Teresa's going to try to remove. Both teams very focused on this game. You can see it in their body language. Avoids the jam.
Get their peeling pants on for that one and clean things up.
Mariana looked just to replace his guard. Where she is sitting number 2, it's good to protect that one and perhaps keep Teresa Breen away from the number 1 shot there in the 4-foot. Keep her from covering that up, and perhaps she can set herself up for the deuce at the end.
As you say, replacing it in the hands of Black and Kraus right now. Walking a little bit area. Those lines indicate.
Yeah, when you place these corner guards, depending on how much the ice is curling, you sometimes almost want to cover the edge of the 4-foot and into the 8-foot, more so than the 12-foot.
Marley Powers up weight here in this shot,
Just looking to peel the guard off.
and does.
Not sure if they're hitting these on the side they want to. I think if it was me, I'd rather send my yellow stone toward the center of the ice and the blue stone off to the side. Difficult to tell from our angle if that's the direction they are looking to hit them. Successful nonetheless. We're going after the number 1 rock now. Late enough in the end to perhaps set up this deuce opportunity.
Gross with some great brushing there, and they'll get a little roll off the center line.
Very flat double here. I'm not sure if you want to attempt it or if you just look to perhaps hit the one on the 4-foot and maybe snuggle up over to the blue one. So Teresa's going to call Marley down so she has a look at it and see what she wants to throw. See if our on-ice mic can pick up a bit of the conversation here. So they're going to try to hit and come off it. Perhaps hit the blue as well. They indicated that about half a stone should do it. These stones do travel quite well after they've made contact. So there is a lot of movement that comes off the stone that's rolling. So.
Marley Powers. And this has a lot of power, no pun intended. Gets the blue and just touches that second blue.
Yeah, wiggles the other rocks around enough that that blue one now is easier to hit at for the yellow team. So.
Shot rock for long into Breen.
For now. Anything can change in a shot here. So Christina looking to remove that number 1 shot. There's a saying in curling, you make a great shot until the person throws.
Punches that one, will lose the shooter, but
Opportunity here for Breen to remove that blue. Sit 2. We might be looking at a force again of 1 for Team Arsenault. Christina's rock stayed a little bit in play, either as a guard or in play, or as a counter in the rings. We may have seen a different outcome here.
Sixth in. Skip stones. Breen getting ready set to throw the first or 2.
A little wobble on her slide there. I'm not sure if she was happy with the result.
Simpson Adams.
Line looks good.
Mostly out there on its own. Noses the blue to lie 2.
And Arsenault will just try to remove both of them if the opportunity presents itself. They are near the edge of the 12-foot, so it wouldn't take very much to move them sideways and get them out of play. She may even be able to roll herself in towards center.
For the rookie curler or for the one just getting involved. Maybe a little bit of a tough shot, but taking a look at who's making this shot, this is a ho-hum shot for her, Marianne Arsenault here. 6. Been there, done that, seen that movie. Don's way.
Oh, just didn't get the angle
I
she needed
jinxed
for the
her.
second one.
I jinxed her. I'm out of here.
The crowd around here, I think, is starting to agree with you, Dan.
I have to stand up. Anybody hitting me? No. Good. I know there's some Mary Arsenault fans here, and you're gonna have to play some security here. I do that in basketball, so I mean it's just par for the course, you know.
Teresa just trying to draw the other side and set up 2 and force Marianne to 1. Teresa Breen counting 1 point right now.
Breen with her last here at 6. In a 3-3 game. Adam Simpson.
Looking to outcount that other blue stone at on the other side. So a little bit of the 8-foot. Not quite there, I don't think. Camera angles could be deceiving, but I think it might still be blue. So Marianne's gonna draw just to be sure she gets her 1. Number 1 stone, still Teresa Breen at the back of the tee line over on the far left of your screen. Gotta be careful which screen I'm looking at when I'm talking to you.
Yeah, Karen's talking about there's what we've seen at curling clubs, they have other screens, so though the people that are, of course, upstairs watching, they have a screen set up here, and we have our monitor here as well, so.
Some cases they're the same camera, but not all the time.
Yeah. Last rock, Marianne Arsenault in 6.
Looking to score 1. Needs 8 foot.
And it's a whole get-together. Black actually relieves Kraus here. It's the B&B sweeping factory of Baxter and Black here.
Yep. So they carry it right into the 4 foot. Great sweeping from all these girls.
Everybody came together in that one. There's no force to take 1 here to 6. Takes a 4-3 lead. Breen will have the hammer in 7, playing the yellow stones. Wow, the Nancy Delahunt team with Colleen Jones looking pretty good here. 6-1 as they play the Jill Brothers team. They've had blanks in 1 and 4, but ended up that the Jones team got 2 in the 2 and the 6 to go up on that 6-1 as they continue play there. That's on sheet D.
Of course, team Brothers coming into this game at 2-0, so.
Yeah, well, that's pretty big, and I know a lot of teams are probably really hoping for Jones to bring the Brothers team back. Of course, where you got a 1-1 teams here facing each other here on our sheet. Arsenault. Of course, if you just missed the top of the broadcast, she started with a 5-4 loss to Kristen McDermott and had a win against Julie McAvoy in the night draw yesterday. And for Breen, started off with a loss as well to Colleen Pinckney 10-5 and then bounced back with that young new kids on the block sort of kids. Isabel Ladouceur, the youngest ever, as you mentioned. So that's how so far how things are going here at the 2018 Nova Scotia Scotties Tournament of Hearts for both of these respective teams here.
Yeah, for those at home that don't know our province and the makeup of how our playdowns are, we have 8 women's teams and 8 men's playing down this week. Playing in the Deloitte Tankard, winner going on to the Briar in Regina in March, and the women's team winning here will go on to the Scotties Tournament of Heart in Penticton later in January. The 8 teams qualify through a couple different ways. The top 2 teams in the Tour points ranking system, the top 2 teams in the province get a berth through to the provincials. The other 6 teams come through a open qualifying process. So the other 6 teams had to play down to get in here, and that's how the Ladouceur rank qualified, was through one of those qualifiers.
Piece of the yellow, and the shooter goes, that's still a bye-bye as well.
Yes, of course, we seen Marianne the last time when she did not have hammer try to keep a very clean game. So this end she did put a zone, so Teresa is not allowed to remove that until after the 4th stone of the end. So just looking to draw around it.
It's the task at hand here for Amanda Simpson.
So just trying to come around from the outside direction, the outturn. Maybe a little bit different line, not quite hitting the ice
That
the way
pretty
we
well
wanted
stayed
to.
pretty straight, no hook to it at all.
Yeah, that didn't finish the way I think they were expecting it to. A lot of times you would see a team take the in-turn on this and draw from the center line side around the blue. I like the direction going this way because it keeps the play away from the center line if you have a hammer.
Try to at least try to keep the shooter. Starting to come over now. Jen Baxter. Nose hit. Fly one.
Yeah, the team that can make this hit and little roll behind cover would be looking for.
Jocelyn Adams. Here in 7. That's got to come over. Boy, that's way out there.
Yeah, that's hanging out there on them.
He's lucky just to get anything, but gets nothing.
That was unfortunate. We haven't seen a lot of those this game, so not sure if we're in a different piece of the ice. So, of course, Team Arsenault will try to take advantage of this opportunity and get around behind cover.
There hasn't been too many cracks here by both of these teams, so we may have just seen one now.
Line looks good on this. Weight might be a little heavy.
Yeah, I was going to say, boy, you and I are on the same length on that one. Is it heavy?
Just stops just above the T line, which is great. You can see a little piece of it. Might just tease somebody. Teresa Breen going to try to run the front back into it. So, of course, Breen has hammers, so if she peels off this top one, that works for her as well. A lot of options with this shot with the hammer.
Big weight shown here by Jocelyn Adams.
Again, staying out there a bit. So, front, which was the danger stone.
And all of a sudden that flash is out of her memory just like that.
Yeah, the teams that have the ability to bounce back after a shot that doesn't work out into your advantage definitely will have an edge on another team.
Well, you also mentioned during this broadcast that, it's a great shot until the next. Can also be, well, it's a, missed shot, and then get your next opportunity. Just
make it good.
Yep.
So Team Arsenault looking to return the guard back to where it was.
Christina Black here at 7.
Line's looking good. Might overcurl a little on them. So they'll leave it high. Had they swept that to get a little closer, it may have curled a little bit too much on them, so that's why the sweepers backed off early. So the one on the forefoot is open now. No hesitation, just get rid of it.
Marley Powers.
Some nice line on this. If we can get to the inside, we might rub over onto the other one.
There it is, 1. But just pushes one of those blue towards the 12, removes one blue stone.
So she's sitting number 1 behind cover, though cover is the opponent's stone.
And long.
and long, so there's lots of room to draw around. So Christina looking to corner freeze on this.
The Jennifer's Kraus and Baxter. Telling it to sit. Wow, nice one.
Very
right
nice.
there.
Not a lot of room between those rocks. So of course, the less room between the rocks, the more difficult it is to remove it. Teresa taking a look at the different angles. There is the rock on the outside there on the right of our screen. She could come off of that one. Timeout, Team Breen here. Make sure we get the whole team in on the discussion.
It's a split tee right now. Hers and Breen are back there and talking about it, and of course the front end made their way up the ice. So
yeah, as we said, each team has a different DNA makeup. So if it's a strategy shot and you're not the thrower at this point and you're just the sweeper, some sweepers and team members want to be included in the discussion. And in the case of Amanda and Jocelyn, I think they'll just tell me the weight, tell me the shot, and we're ready to go. I'm not sure if the coach is going to access the shed for this timeout, or if it's more or less just to stop the clock. Sometimes a long walk for the coach to get down there. So.
yeah, Breen's coach is Jeff Wilson, and right now they've just discussing it all by themselves there, Powers and Breen.
Yeah, in the case of level at this curling, sometimes the timeout is just to stop the clock, to give the players time to analyze the situation and call the shot. If the coach is required or needed, then they do access the ice, but sometimes they're not required. And that's a team choice. So Team Breen electing to just guard this. They are sitting number 1, so don't want to try and make it gooder, as they say.
Simpson and Adams.
So weight's okay. We're going to have guard weight with this. Now we're just working a little bit on line. We want it to curl a little bit more. So the longer they can sweep it, the more time it has to curl.
Come out for relief.
It blocks off that line into that stone, so Marianne does not have an option now to tap it back onto the yellow. She'll have to draw the button. We've seen that a couple times this game.
Game 50 reaching the 2-hour mark as we've hit the 2 o'clock hour here on the east coast of Canada, 1 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, these games are 10 ends long, a little bit longer than your typical club play. So recreational curlers typically play anywhere between 6 and 8 ends. With the timeouts and the 5th end break, sometimes these games lead up into almost 3 hours. About 15 minutes an end to play, so you're looking at 2.5 hours just for the end play, and then we have the breaks and timeouts that we have to add into that. Marianne's first rock, looking to draw top 4 foot.
Voice you hear is the Christina Black. Trying to get her sweepers on, and comes to a rest right in the line.
Yeah, certainly hear Christina, so no doubt from her sweepers what her intention is as far as the line call. All right, so Teresa here looking to set up another point in there on the forefoot and draw around. So we talked a bit about the time and the time clock. So we mentioned that it was thinking time. It gets 38 minutes of thinking time. So what that means is the clock, when the stone is traveling down the ice, does not run. So when the team is planning their shots, planning their routine, so in other words, they're thinking about their shot, the clock is running.
Skip rocks. 10-7. Arsenault on top of Breen 4-3.
Teresa looking to draw the forefoot, staying out wide. Need it to finish. Starting to.
There you can see they're saying, get over, and
Yeah, try to get that extra. As we said, even inches will work. So she does slide in there for number 1, but she's not buried. So opportunity here perhaps for Marianne to hit. If she hits and sticks, she'll block the draw path. So nose hit here would work well for Marianne. Be a very difficult draw for Teresa.
call is to hit and stay there as Arsenault gets ready to throw here her final. And in number 7, Breen has the hammer throwing the yellow stones.
Teresa sitting 1 and 2. So Marianne looking to minimize Breen's scoring with the hammer.
The team from the Dartmouth Curling Club has pretty well been in control of this one after getting a steal of 2 in the first.
Great line call by Christina there to get that nose hit. So that blocks off the draw path for Teresa. She is sitting 1 behind the blue over on the right-hand side as I face the screen. So there on the right-hand side, that yellow you see on the edge of the forefoot is number 1. A lonely one with all those blues. So very dangerous for her to try and outdraw that. She could promote the blue one in. So she's just going to throw it away. Sometimes when the situation is good, you don't want to do anything bad to it. So we're just going to take the stone away and take our 1.
Just like that. It will be, as you say, 1 point.
So we're down to a score, even score, so 4 ends left. So I guess you could say it's a 4 end now.
Arsenault of hammer here. In the 8th, with the blue handle stones, 4-4 is where we stand. Well, we said it earlier, it was some of the teams that were sitting at 0-2, and Ladouceur was one of them. The other one was McAvoy, and she's going to get that donut off her scoreboard right now as she's got a good lead over Colleen Pinckney now as 8-2. So she'll looks pretty good. Of course, we'll never say that it's going to happen because anything can happen in the sport. Looks pretty good that she'll be having a record of improve her record to 1-2. And Pinckney could, well, basically have the same record, too if the status quo or if that result doesn't change. That's on sheet B. We're talking about Ladishore having a good lead. Well, McDermott's clawing her way back into that one. That's 5-4. They play the 8th. Ladishore still leading McDermott. McDermott came in at 2-0. And 0-1. Nancy Delahunt team, along with Colleen Jones, Kim Kelly, and Mary Sue Radford, taking on the brothers foursome of Jen Bryan, Sarah Murphy, Aaron Carmody, as well as Jill Brothers.
Our other feature game.
7-1, yep. Well, we're going to try to bring brothers back to the pack here and make things a little bit clustered in the 8-team standings here after draw 3.
Yeah, still early in the event. We're not quite to the midway point, so after tonight we'll start to see where the standings lie, if we've got anybody that's really shuffling to the top, or there could be a lot of congestion in the middle. So Teresa Breen taking advantage of our free guard zone here, placing her first stone very to the house, but in the free guard zone. So because it is in the free guard zone, Arsenault cannot remove it from play, so they've elected to try to go around.
Right now they're going for a Wednesday afternoon walk with this one. Haven't touched it.
A little hot, so it slides to the back.
2 skips sharing a laugh.
Yeah, we unfortunately don't have mics on the players, so we're not quite sure. Maybe we don't want to know, but as we know, they're all great friends out there off the ice, opponents on the ice. But we noticed in some of who you're playing against today, next season might be your teammates. So it's a great group, great community, all these curling families and everybody. So we have a final over on sheet B.
Yep, McAvoy will now go to 1 and 2, as we mentioned. 8-3, the final there. So Pinckney will now go to 1 and 2 after she got off to a good start, defeated the teams that were one of the teams that were facing covering here, Team Breen. So Pinckney 1 and 2, and McAvoy also to 1 and 2.
So Team Breen here just drew the top 4 foot. It is still open, so Team Arsenault going to try to remove it. There is a danger of jamming it on the back one, so want to make sure we hit it just right here.
And the top 2 teams now were McDermott and Brothers, and they've got some catching up to do there to keep that goose egg in that loss column. Both teams trailing right now as we are in the midst of draw number 3 here at the 2018 Nova Scotia Scotties Tournament of Hearts here in Bell 5 TV1.
So Jennifer Krause successful in removing that stone and rolling out. Team Breen going to try to come back down again into that 4 foot and perhaps be more buried this time.
Simpson and Powers here. Heads down all the way. Easily past that yellow guard. And give a little rub to that blue one in the back, belonging to Marianne Arsenault.
Marianne's determined the guard is now more of a danger, so we'll remove that. The other stones, of course, being behind the tee line, aren't necessarily a danger to you at this point at the end.
Jen Baxter removes that dangerous stone, as my broadcast colleague mentioned, and shooter will go out of play.
And now Team Breen to replace it.
Back and forth we go, and this one, and also the same in the terms of the shots. Back and forth we go, replaced here in the hands of Jocelyn Adams.
16 rocks go up and 16 rocks come back. Line's looking good. Want to be on the center line. Right around that Deloitte logo.
You said center line. That's pretty well good placement.
Pretty close. There is room for Marianne to get around from the other side.
Yes, there is, as you see.
Yeah, but she will take that off. She does have hammer, so the less rocks in the front of the forefoot, the better for her.
Guard peel, been the back-to-back shots, and here is the peel portion of it.
Yep, nice to have a good, clean, quick end. Bank a little bit of time as we move into the final few ends here. Of course, Team Arsenault still with their 2 timeouts, and Team Breen has 1 timeout remaining.
Marley Powers in 8.
So we saw a little switch there as Jocelyn moved from closest to the rock to furthest away. And that's just similar to the one person sweeping that we see earlier. It's a similar concept.
A little bit better for them. It's pretty well right on. Not really much of that rock that's in the back that you can see.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, can't see much. It is a little bit longer guard, so there is room to get around. And the Yellowstone, of course, still behind the tee line, so there's room to draw down to it. So something teams discuss, certainly when they're planning their strategy, what's the point in the end where we do want to go behind cover? When do we stop peeling? It's something that will be different for every team.
Yeah.
But something they've certainly discussed and tried in previous events.
Christina Black.
Looking to draw down to the yellow on the back forefoot. If she sits top 4, that's all right as well. It's got to get by the front guard though. A little bit light. Rubs off that guard and sits top 12. So Teresa will take advantage of this and try and get a second shot in there ahead of the tee line.
Yeah, you were talking about, of course, an end where everything is just moving along and trying to save time and, quick end. And
a little rub and we're into a mess.
yeah, because like Powers was right, had the stone lined up, was in the hack, ready to go, waiting for that one to come to a rest.
Yeah, time clock efficiency is something that some teams work on. Some teams are better at it than others. Some teams like to discuss shots a lot.
Here,
see
9.
this rock come in. And stay a little wide, a little bit heavy.
Just touches that yellow in the back 4 and then will spin to the 12.
So yellow sitting 1 and 3, and of course Arsenault sitting 2 and 4. Marianne going to take this guard off. Now that there's 2 guards, it's a danger. Christina thinks maybe there might be a play to raise the blue back. Marianne taking a look. So we're going to play on the yellow. There may be an opportunity to promote that blue stone back if they catch it at the right angle. Plan A is get the yellow stone off the center line.
Cameras didn't catch it, but Black actually asked for a little bit more ice, and Rock has a lot of giddy up here, and they're happy with it already.
Yeah, as we said, be sure to get that yellow stone off the center line. The blue one can be promoted later with your last rock if you need it, so it's nice to have it there. So where do we place the stone? Do we want to guard? Are we guarding by being number 2? So she could go top 4, or she could just put her center line guard back.
The more we get into, of course, these draws, everything just seems to tighten up. I mean, we're like some scores of 10-5 and even higher scores than that, even on the men's side. So, I mean, of 10-9. So things have tightened up here, and we've got a tight one here between Marion Arsenault and Teresa Breen.
Yeah, as the play moves on through the event, the players get a little better feel for the ice, get a better feel for the rocks, how they're reacting. And they get in a groove. Some teams get on a momentum and they can carry that through. So Teresa's been very good with the draws so far today. I think we want to be right on the center line.
Simpson Adams on the brushes.
Going hard at the end to get it over to the center line. A little overlap on the blue would be nice, making the run back a little difficult. Marianne electing to draw down. Her first stone, she does have hammer.
Kind of wish I had like a statistician with it to see how many, draws she's done in this one. Be an interesting note.
Yeah, I think she's pretty close to 100% on her draws.
Yeah.
Not enough fingers and toes for me to keep track of it today.
Oh, very much. So far, the Jennifer's not really doing too much with it.
And Christina saying no line, so we don't need to sweep for line. So, very nice shot right down on top of the yellow.
There it is. I mean, it's basically going to be draw versus draw here because there's no way to pick that out.
Yeah, if Teresa can get right down there on top of that, she's going to be locked on to right on the button. Be very difficult for Marianne to have a shot to try and outscore that, either through a hit, running back her own. I don't think you'd be able to squirt it out. So Teresa Breen needs to be frozen here to sit on the button.
Of course, let's give credit to both of these skips. They've had pretty well been good with their draw weight all game long.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of misses on the draw side. A lot of them are right where they need them to be. If there is a miss, it's on the positive side, as we like to say, sometimes a good miss. So it's still in the path that you intend it to need it to be. So therefore being a guard instead of a draw.
That's it now of Amanda Simpson, Jocelyn Adams out of the Mayflower Curling Club.
Line call is off. So the weight looks good. Amanda trying to get a little finish off of it to lock it on.
They're saying go, go, go.
Great shot.
There it is.
So is there enough movement to unlock it and squirt it out sideways if she runs the blue back? Because if she runs the blue back that's at the top of her blue stone's not going anywhere either. So she could squirt it out sideways and roll herself out, leaving herself the number 1 shot rock, that blue at the back button.
Looks like that's what she's going to try.
Certainly going to need a little bit of weight. Although with the blue stone button, she doesn't have to move the yellow very far. Just enough to bring that back blue one into the number one shot. So just a little bit off nose of that blue one. You almost want to hit right where Christina's broom is. Just telestrators so we can put the arrows on.
Yep, we do. Just putting the stickies on the screen here. Nobody will see them. Final stone here for Arsenault in end 8.
Squirt it. And she's successful.
One blue. Yeah, there's a gentleman right here said water shot. Took the words right out of my mouth.
For sure. Definitely making the skips earn their money today. The shot making that the skip is faced at the end, each end, they either have to very small area to draw down to shots like this. So great caliber and great execution from both these teams. And even though we seem to give credit to the person throwing the stone every time there's a great shot, sweepers are involved. There's a line caller involved as well. So team effort to make sure all these shots are successful.
5-4 as you see as we get to the 9th. Breen with the hair, we're throwing the yellow stones.
Marianne getting a good job from her old teammates on the other sheet, Colleen Jones and Kim Kelly.
Well, Ladysor still putting the pressure there. McDermott, the second-ranked team in the women's standings. They're playing the 9th, and it is 6-4. McDermott came in at 2-0. In danger of falling to 2-1. Brothers getting closer to Delahunt right now, but it is 7-3 as they play the 9th. And of course, we talked about McAvoy defeating Pinckney, and they've shaken hands a long time ago in that one. So McAvoy good 1-2, and Pinckney to 1-2.
Yeah, if it's not your game day, if you're on the wrong side of the scoreboard, and if you get an opportunity to get off the ice early and get rested up and get ready for that next game, you sometimes take advantage of ending the game a little earlier. Give you that extra time to refocus on the next game.
Definitely, this is like, of course they're used to it because they had 2 draws yesterday and they have another 2 today, but you make a good point. You know, it's definitely not a sprint, it's a marathon. Nose hit here on the way.
Of course, Colleen Pinckney, lots of experience as a senior champion, Canadian champion as well at the senior level. Lots of experience there. She's got a younger team with her at this event.
Yep.
So she's definitely a role model for them, and I'm sure she'll get their heads in the game and they'll come out strong on the next one.
It's pretty well the Christy Gamble team from last year. Christy has moved out west, and Pinckney was the coach of that team, so she's just sort of, gone into that role of, Gamble, and, so basically now she, sort of is still the skip of this team, even though she throws like the lead stone there for them.
Yeah, she's an easy fit for her, having worked with the team, so she would know all the team personalities and the makeup. The strategy, the game plan would be very, probably what she had coached them through. And I believe Christy is playing in the Saskatchewan Ladies Scotties this weekend as well. So if I've got my dates right, then I wish her well.
Well, this is a lot of the events are taking place this week here and pretty well right across the nation.
Yeah, we talk about the schedule in this year with the Olympics beginning in a few weeks. Changed when the Scotties is normally played. It moved it ahead, I believe, about 2 years. Scotties usually starts around the 14th of February, but we're starting on the 27th of January this year.
Yeah, I can remember like we were at Mayflower last year, and it was toward the end of January when we were doing those play downs there for the provincial championships, both on the men's and women's side.
Yeah, and of course I believe it affected the junior, the New Holland Juniors as well is a week earlier because I believe typically they play the last week of January. So changes the calendar a bit. Very clean end. Of course, Teresa doesn't mind blanking here. She doesn't mind being down 1 with Hammer coming home in the 10th. So a blank would be great for her. Of course, Marianne would probably prefer to be tied with Hammer. Force Teresa to take 1. That 2-pointer in the first end for Marianne might be the difference here as we
that was
trade
huge.
points back and forth.
Yeah, that like first end, like rocks and play. We've had maybe about a couple since then, but it's hasn't been like that whole big cluster that we had in that first end.
Yeah, the first end is also a little bit of getting to know the ice. Both teams do get a 10-minute practice before the game, so they do get a feel for the ice. There was a little bit of change overnight. I know the ice maker did some work, so they might be taking them an end or two to get used to those changes.
Teams exchange shots here, 9. Now they're just going to try to hold the line.
On this one.
And does.
As you saw, she didn't hit a very big piece of that blue end, but was still successful in removing it, showing how well these stones move after they come in contact with each other.
Just stayed.
The curling gurus with an very active striking band.
Yeah.
Very lively.
Just kept it alive just enough, as you say, to get a piece of it. As Black's throw on its way. And
so after throwing all those hits, 8 is
not a brush late to this one. Out there on its own.
After throwing all those hits and sweeping some of them, sometimes it takes a shot or two to get your heart rate back down, but great job by Christina to keep it ahead of the tee line.
Yep, 4 foot. And the Jennifers, Crouse, and Baxter had a little bit of a break and didn't really have to brush it. Adams pointing to her shoulder, as you see, continuing to point to the shoulder.
Yeah, that would be an indication of what the weight is. Whether it's their
Nose.
symbol for control weight or normal weight.
Yep. Yeah, the adjustment a couple seconds ago, all of a sudden, with the way that the end is going, of course, relatively clean, changing the shot selection. And
yeah, a lot of teams practice this sometimes. You know, how do you throw a stone when you're under pressure, and how do you simulate things like that? I drilled with a junior team once. I had them do about 25 jumping jacks and then throw the rock right away. So, of course, their heart rate was up, and then that's just to stimulate as you just finish sweeping, or sometimes in a stressful situation, the anxiety, we said, how do you feel when you're anxious? Does your heart rate, raise, things like that. So typically you have a higher heart rate. So by simulating that through doing jumping jacks or other things before they throw.
Another different training thing that I've just learned. Because a couple weeks ago, of course, at the Junior Curling Championships, Bill Fletcher and I were calling, and he basically try to bring in like crowds and make the family members of the team there make noise so they get used to that sort of type atmosphere. And this time you do jumping jacks.
Yeah, I can remember doing working with some kids at a training camp, and we called them distraction drills. So a bunch of us would put on wigs and different costumes, and we'd go out running around.
All right, wigs. So you just leave it at that. I'm just kidding.
We're distracting them. When you see the Briar and the Scotties, you'll see quite a few characters in the stands, and it's always great to see the imagination and the dedication to the sport from the fans.
So definitely interesting that you could actually bring people in to make noise, wear wigs, and then do jumping jacks.
Yeah, bring the cowbells and dance a jig, and we're a curling fan. So another draw by Team Arsenault here.
I can just see it now. Your job is to make noise. I don't know if I can do that.
So taking a quick look at this, because if they do hit, they won't be in the ring. So, you know, are we going to try for 2, or are we actually going to try for the blank would probably be the discussion. If we're trying for 2, we're going to go around. If we're going to blank, we're going to hit. I think if you're Breen, you really want to keep the hammer for the next end, even though you are down 1. Haven't
Breen.
seen very many stolen ends, so I think you really would like to keep the hammer because it'd be very difficult to steal in the last end.
That's an excellent point you made. We only had 1 steal so far, and that was off the top. Arsenault taking 2 in the first. Everybody has had hammer. They've only been able to score a single point. Breen had hammer 2, single point. Arsenault, single point and 3 with hammer. Breen again in 4.
And a point
Actually,
stolen
sorry,
in the
there was a
fifth,
point
yeah.
stolen in the 5th. I was looking at that. I have a bad hammer sort of in my score sheet thing.
Oh, your chicken scratches over there.
It's so bad. It's so awful. It's nice.
So she gets a little roll. Looks like it might be on. So that'll force Marianne to try and hit and roll in with that. Of course, a nose hit would not guarantee her in the rings, and it would mean that Teresa could blank. So she would want to get a little bit of roll and get on the rings here.
And of course, as I've learned from you guys, with every hit, you of course move up a little bit. So
yeah, so you actually sometimes have to plan. If a rock goes back 4 foot, of course that could be an advantage to the opponent. But if it's in the right spot and you stagger the rock, so if you're yellow team and you've got one at the back of the 4 foot, then a blue one goes in at the top of the 4 foot, then your yellow's in the button area. So that's why you sometimes see teams sweeping their rocks after the tee line. They're trying to get them in the best position so that if they go, okay, 1, 2, 3, I'm on the button. They do plan that as well, some of them.
there it is, the
active.
nose hit.
Yeah,
And out by plenty.
Yes, doesn't roll in, so Team Breen here will throw it through and keep the hammer. So lots of time on the clock to play the 10th end. Team Arsenault finishes up with 7 minutes. Team Breen, once she delivers a stone, will be close to 7 minutes as well. Team Breen has 1 timeout remaining, and Team Arsenault has both their timeouts. So lots of time. They can take their time and make sure that they're executing well.
Breen with there to get our first blank of the contest, and it comes in end number 9. And we'll carry the hammer into 10, trailing by 1.
So it'll be interesting to see what Mary Ann does here. Will she try to play for the steal, or will she try to prevent Team Breen from scoring? If she tries to play for the steal, then we know she's trying to win the game. Of course, we're always trying to win the game, but she may also be in a position where she might have to force Breen to 1 and perhaps take the hammer into the extra end. Not a word we like to use around here. It usually jinxes us.
We've already had 1 jinx in this game, so we're not going to do any more, jinx in here.
So I would
You let the pitcher tell the stories.
Yeah.
I let the storytellers tell the story.
So we'll see where Mary Ann calls this. Whether she'll utilize the front free guard zone or not. Unfortunately, she's below my view, so I can't see Marianne. Very nice shot here. Right, want it right on the Deloitte logo if we can. They'll slip it in. I think we'll see Teresa ignore that and do a corner guard.
We just saw, wasn't on camera, but we did see a little bit of the broom there from Breen to indicate just as soon as you said that, so.
I might know something about this strategy stuff, if I could use it at home. Some stuff you watch it enough, pick up what kind of shots you want to play when. Sometimes it's the little details, like 1 inch here or there, that make the difference.
Hoping that this sits here and it will stop before the rings.
Of course, that is in the free guard zone, so Marianne cannot remove it from play, so she's going to just guard her own.
Jennifer Krause.
Curling a lot on them.
And as you said, curling a lot, over curled there, so you can see that blue stone in the 12.
So she's indicating a hit and roll off this top one, in behind, and then roll over behind her yellow. So right now she does have the yellow-blue guard set up. She could use as well, although you always want to be behind your own.
Simpson. Right on, and gets the roll, but it rolls too far, so it won't be undercover, and we'll go to the wings.
See a little back sweeping, hoping that if it does get close to the edge, sometimes as the stone loses its momentum and slows down, it has a little bit of a back spin to it, so just hoping maybe they can take advantage of that. Kind of similar to something unwinding, right?
Looks like Nancy Delahunt's team defeated Brothers. Brothers no longer undefeated. She'll go to 2-1. And Delahunt's team with Colleen Jones, Mary Sue Radford, and Kim Kelly go to 2-1.
So Christina successful in removing the yellow stone of Team Breen and rolling. So Teresa asking Jocelyn to draw around their yellow.
Front end working hard on this one here.
Yeah, we're in a situation where light might be okay because you can promote it later, but we definitely want to get it in around cover. Don't think we're buried. I think we can see almost all of it. Picking up a little more of the discussion now that there's only 2 games down there.
And just a right upon release.
So Christina going hard, to keep it from curling.
Rose to yellow, blue will go also out of play.
So successful in removing that yellow. And back to the draw again.
Al McDermott got a single point and in number 9, 6-5 as they play the 10th. Ladouceur over McDermott. So the Della Hunt and Ladouceur teams could be giant killers, knocking those two top teams that came in 2-0, moving them and bringing them back to the rest of the pack at 2-1. But of course, they are playing the 10th, and we'll update you on that one.
So Teresa jumping out to help here. Unfortunately, it was too light. I probably warmed her up a little bit, though. Timeout being called by Team Arsenault. Coach Peter Corkum on his way down.
Each team now has one.
So I think the big discussion here is, do we draw in, play for the steal, guarantee our win? So or are those Yellowstones out front? Are they a danger? There's Coach Peter Corkum, so we'll try and listen in on this one. Not quite in an area where we can pick up.
It's almost like they know that they're
whispering.
Yeah, so they're being real silent talkers, as they say.
Yeah. I think you have to be in the right for a mic to pick it up, but
they were in the right neighborhood, but boy, you just couldn't get anything out of it.
Yeah. So it appears that they're going to draw around.
If that's not a mind your own business moment, I don't know what is.
If we weren't trying to listen, we'd probably hear it.
Hey, we're here. Mind your business, sort of thing.
Yeah. So we saw them switch up the rocks here. Christina could have a rock that she prefers to throw with her draw over her hit rock, the way they match them. So as we said earlier, practice a few minutes before the game. So if you have a rock that you prefer one over the other for your draw, you're going to use it here. So they don't necessarily, even though there's a number 1 on the rock, the first person to throw doesn't necessarily always throw the number 1 rock.
Light cleaning.
Very
Here comes
close.
support. Easily by. Gets a little reaction here from the crowd upstairs, close to our broadcast location here at the Dartmouth Curling Club.
Yeah, they've been so close on all those, but we're going to see some curl on the inside out there because it went out the other side. Open from the other side. So Breen here ignoring it, choosing to try to follow them down. Now that she's seen that path.
Power's good, going hard.
A little light, we're tight on that guard, so.
Push the blue.
Might have moved that guard over enough that it guards that back blue one now. So Marianne will try to get another one in there.
This statistic, of course, is based on the World Curling Tour statistic. If we end up going down the path of extra ends, and I'm not trying to say that we are, I'm not going to say that we aren't either. Marianne Arsenault is 1-0 in extra ends and 1-1 for Team Breen.
Certainly the hammer is certainly coming into play in this game. all teams using that to their advantage. So quick discussion by Christina and Marianne to make sure everybody's on the same page. There's a few yellow stones out front that could be dangerous to them, but I think if they get in behind cover here with blue, they're going to make some draw shots a little bit more difficult for Teresa by making the scoring area smaller. And we're starting to get a little bit of congestion in the front with a few of those guards.
Jennifer Crouch, Jennifer Baxter. Going hard here.
I heard Christina say your buys, so quite happy.
Through that port and right onto their own rock there in the 8-foot area. Line 2. Move out hammer here in the 10th.
So we'll see what Teresa decides to follow them down or promote her own stone. They had a quick little session while the other team was playing. A great use of time clock efficiency. Use the other team's time with the time clock to have a discussion. So they knew exactly what they wanted to play here.
Martley Powers hoping for better results on this one.
Yeah, they struggled a bit with a few of the draws this end, so I'm not sure if they've lost the feel for it or...
Gonna bump that yellow. Will be enough for a shot.
But it's very close. I think blue might still be shot, though.
I think you're right.
Of course, Teresa Breen looking to score 2 here with hammer to win. So as we see here, it's completely open. So just a nose hit for Marianne would be work very well for her. It would block off that path to that 4-foot. If she could ever get a little bit of an inside roll on it, she might block that run back as well from the center. But now that Teresa Breen has raised that yellow stone, it's changed the centerline guard. It's a little bit closer to the blue side of the sheet, the way the blue rocks are all on one side of the sheet. I don't think is there anymore down to the back blue.
Just want to give a little reminder to our folks listening online during the live stream that of course, Ladouceur and McDermott, they are playing in the 10th. It is 6-5 Ladouceur over McDermott. We don't get a chance to get an update before this one comes to an end. That's where we stand, and you'll have to go to nscurl.com to figure out the result of that one. But
yeah, they are also in Skips Rocks. They've just taken a timeout, so...
Nose hit.
Nose hit to lie 3, so Teresa have to 4-foot here.
As we're in Skip Rocks here in 10.
She needs to get that centerline yellow out raised into that 4-foot. I don't think you're going to get there on a draw. That hole is very small now.
Definitely looking at bringing one of those yellows in.
So based on the ice, it looks like she's going to do it with a hit weight. Perhaps try to drive it back onto the blue. Maybe not quite comfortable doing this with draw weight. So Teresa's first stone. Taking a quick peek over on sheet E, McDermott lying 1 right now.
Yeah, they're do make a play, they actually split those yellow stones and they take a little bit of coverage away as opposed to try to bring something in.
Yeah, although it opened it up. So now, depending on where Marianne could place the guard here, she might leave her a path to the 4-foot. That draw, the out-turn draw down center line into that back blue would be there right now. So like Christina just said, she can't hit that top blue one and get number 1. So that's not a danger right now. The danger would be drawing to the back blue ones where the two of them are grouped together at just the back line. So trying to block that path off.
You and I, of course, will be back here for the 4 o'clock men's draw with Greg Power versus Jamie Murphy. And that will be at 4
Yeah, that
Atlantic
should be
time.
an exciting game. One of the players on Greg Power we saw a couple weeks ago at the juniors got called up after a team member got injured. So we'll see Graham Weagle join that team. He was playing with the Owen Purcell group in the juniors. They made it into the playoffs.
Yeah, they just ran into like a real tough team in Matthew Manuel. All 3 losses came against them.
Yeah.
And a triple knockout. Marianne Arsenault's final stone here in 10 is on its way. Trying to turn this into like a little bit of a block party here, make it difficult for Breen on her final here in 10.
Yeah, again here the depth of the stone isn't important, the line, making sure that that path is blocked. So I don't know if there's room for Teresa to draw in here now or not. It appears to be from this angle. I just don't know if we're getting the finish out of the stones that we need to try it.
Port's there to come through, but the thing is, like, get there.
Yeah.
But are you going to stay?
Yeah, you could definitely hit this blue, but I don't think you'll get number 1 because you do have to roll. And I think the angle you'd hit it at, you'd be rolling too high. You wouldn't get into that 4-foot. So Teresa has to try to get just by this centerline guard, blue one, and into the 4-foot. That being said, she has the whole 4-foot to draw to, so. And we've seen her put it on pins.
Yeah, both these skips have had their draw weights with them all day. The percentages, if we were keeping track of it, they'd be pretty high in it for the both of them.
So Teresa drawing against 3, needs to score here.
Ooh and ah here from the crowd.
Yeah, McDermott's lying 2 over on sheet E. I think they...
Final stone here, Breen in 10 with hammer. Trailing by 1. And hear them saying, whoa, not touching it. Not touching it.
Need to curl off that back blue one.
They'll actually push the blue one in. And Arsenault will go to 2-1. She started the game with a steal. She'll end the game with a steal.
Yeah, that was a very difficult draw for Teresa. Unfortunate to be facing 3 that shot. Take a quick look over as Dan runs through the other 3 games. We'll see if we can get to the final rocks over here on sheet E. McDermott delivers her last stone. She is sitting 2, which would give her the win. Ladouceur does have hammer, though.
Yeah, McAvoy and Delahunt with wins. And not typical that we do this, but we're going to try to keep everybody informed there on the results there on that sheet. May not be able to see it, but we'll at least give you some updates for sure.
So Kirsten is sitting 2 blue in the 4-foot. Ladouceur has a yellow stone at the top. It is guarded. Going to have a timeout here. Team Ladouceur has a great resource in their coach, Brian Rayfuse. Great strategist, great at calling angles. And he'll come out and probably say, hit it here or put it here. And So a couple close games here as we finish up this 12 noon ladies draw. So the voice fun are the teams that are just packing up and getting ready to leave. So